Hello, hello! Today's episode marks the beginning of a new kind of format, the season overview. With the help of AI and in particular NotebookLM, I will start by revisiting season 5 of the podcast, which focused on digital security. And to help you implement better security hygiene, I introduced in episode 99 a free downloadable checklist. So if you haven't downloaded it yet, just visit macpreneur.com/MSC for Mac Security Checklist. If you need help going through it, just listen to or watch episode 99. Once again, it's macpreneur.com/MSC. Now, to come back to what I said at the top of the show, what you're about to listen to has been generated with NotebookLM. And in case you're not familiar with NotebookLM, it's an AI tool developed by Google. It works differently from traditional LLMs like ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, in the sense that rather than being an oracle with almost infinite knowledge, the main purpose of NotebookLM is to only reference documents and files that you have specifically uploaded. You can then ask questions about the content of your documents, and NotebookLM can even instantly create study guides with quizzes and FAQs. If the documents reference historical information, it can even create for you a timeline. Now, unlike LLMs, NotebookLM always provides citations and links to the source material. And finally, the audio overview feature is what put NotebookLM on everyone's radar. Now, within a few minutes, NotebookLM can generate a 10 to 20 minutes discussion between two AI personas going through a deep dive about the sources. So that's exactly what you're about to listen to, but based on the transcripts of all the episodes from season 5. So I fed NotebookLM the content of 11 episodes in text format. Then I asked it to generate an audio overview. When I listened to it for the first time, I was shocked by how good it was, especially when the personas use analogies that were never mentioned in the episodes. Now, if you've never used NotebookLM, you can visit notebooklm.google.com. You can start playing with it for free. You just need a Google account. Now, enough said, let's now listen to the audio overview for Season 5 on digital security.
Hey everyone, and welcome. Let's dive right in, shall we? Today we're tackling something that might not be as flashy as, say, that new marketing funnel you've been eyeing, but it's absolutely essential: Mac security.
It's the foundation of a thriving business, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And to help us navigate this often confusing world, we're taking a deep dive into a fantastic resource, Season 5 of the Macpreneur podcast.
Great choice. They really get into the nitty-gritty, which is what we need.
Totally. And they debunk a major myth right off the bat, that Macs are somehow immune to viruses and malware.
Ah, yes, the invincible Mac. It's a persistent myth.
Right. But the reality is, any system can be vulnerable, no matter how secure it claims to be.
Exactly. And the Macpreneur podcast really drives this point home with some hard-hitting facts.
They sure do. Like, get this. Apple patched over 550 vulnerabilities in just 1 year of macOS Monterey. 550. In 1 year. And
don't even get me started on Ventura and Sonoma.
Right. It's constant. So what's the takeaway for all of us busy solopreneurs?
Simple. Those update notifications, they're not optional.
It's like that little red notification badge is our new best friend. Annoying, but essential.
Exactly. Think of it this way. Those updates are often patching newly discovered security holes.
So every time we hit update, we're essentially one step ahead of the hackers.
You got it.
Well, I'm feeling better already. But I have to ask, those updates, are they really that important if you're, say, a small fried solopreneur? I mean, who would target me?
That's where things get interesting. Because most cyber attacks, they're not personal. It's not like hackers are specifically seeking you out, right?
So it's not about being paranoid. It's about being prepared.
Exactly. It's like leaving your front door unlocked because you live on a quiet street.
Okay, that's a scary thought.
Right. And the Macpreneur podcast shared a story about one of their listeners, a solopreneur just like you and me, who lost $24,000 to a subcontractor scam.
Oh, wow. Okay, now that's enough to make anyone break out in a cold sweat.
Right. It can happen to anyone. And that's why understanding the why behind these attacks is so important.
So why do they do it? Why target us solopreneurs?
Well, in many cases, it boils down to simple economics. Hackers are looking for the path of least resistance, the easiest way to make a profit.
So for many hackers, it's a numbers game. The easier the target, the better.
Exactly. But it's not always about immediate financial gain. Sometimes the motivation is more complex. We're talking revenge, corporate espionage.
Wow, so it's a whole world out there.
It is. And understanding those motivations helps us anticipate potential threats, right?
Makes sense. So we've covered the digital front, keeping software updated, understanding hacker motivations. But what about when the threat hits a little closer to home? What about the physical security of our Macs?
That's where a solid backup strategy comes in. And this is something the Macpreneur podcast really emphasizes.
They sure do. And I love that they share real-life examples, like the one about the host's own hard drive failure.
Right. Talk about a nightmare scenario.
Totally. But what saved him? A clone backup? Whatever that is.
It's like having an identical twin of your hard drive. Everything is copied and ready to go. So if your Mac crashes, you just boot from the clone.
So no more frantic calls to the tech support hotline. Okay, that's impressive. But is a clone backup the be-all and end-all of backup solutions? What about those cloud services like Backblaze? What's your take on those?
Well, think of it this way. A clone backup is like having a spare tire in your car. It gets you back on the road quickly if you get a flat.
Okay, makes sense.
But cloud backups, they're more like that comprehensive roadside assistance plan.
Oh, I see. So no matter what happens, you're covered.
Precisely. Cloud backups store your data on those remote servers, so even if your Mac decides to take a swan dive into a swimming pool,
oh no,
your data is safe and sound. Plus, cloud backups usually keep multiple versions of your files.
Oh, that's handy. No more final.chaos on my desktop.
Exactly. But let's be real, there's one area where even the most organized solopreneur might struggle.
Let me guess. Passwords.
Bingo! Because who can remember all those complex combinations, right?
It's like trying to memorize a phone book.
Right. But thankfully, there are strategies to make it less of a headache. One method is the passphrase approach.
Passphrase? What's that?
Basically, you take a memorable phrase, something easy to remember, and turn it into a strong password.
So instead of password 123, which, by the way, if anyone's still using that, please stop, I could use something like, I love Mex but not the price tag.
See? You're a natural. Just sprinkle in some numbers and special characters, and you've got yourself a pretty darn strong password.
Easy peasy. But what about those password managers I keep hearing about?
Yes. Password managers. Those are a game changer. They generate and store those complex passwords for you, so you only need to remember one master password.
Okay, that sounds like something my brain can handle.
Right. The Macpreneur podcast recommends 1Password and Bitwarden. Have you heard of those?
Vaguely. What are they like?
Well, 1Password is like the luxury sedan of password managers.
Ooh.
It's got all the bells and whistles, cross-platform compatibility. You can store more than just passwords.
Okay, I'm sold.
But it does come with a subscription fee. Then there's Bitwarden, which is more like a reliable hatchback. It offers a great free plan, perfect for solopreneurs who are just starting out.
So, options for every budget. I like it. But hold on. The Macpreneur podcast also mentioned a future beyond passwords altogether, something called Passkeys. Is that too good to be true?
Passkeys are pretty exciting. They represent a huge leap in online security. Instead of those clunky passwords, they use unique cryptographic keys that are tied to your device and your biometrics.
Okay, hold up. Cryptographic keys. That sounds awfully technical.
It's simpler than it sounds. Think of it like a digital fingerprint, unique to each of your online accounts. These keys are incredibly difficult to steal or replicate, making them much more secure than traditional passwords.
So goodbye phishing scams and those you've been hacked emails.
Theoretically, yes. Because they're so difficult to phish or intercept, it's a game changer. Apple's been all in on Passkeys, integrating them into Mac OS and iOS.
Well, that's a pretty good endorsement.
Yeah.
But there's always a but, right? What's the catch?
Compatibility, mostly. Not all platforms are on board with Passkeys yet.
So it's a work in progress.
Exactly, but with huge potential.
For sure. But in the meantime, we've got to protect those online fortresses of ours, our websites. A website breach, that's got to be a nightmare, right?
Oh, absolutely. We're talking defaced content, stolen customer data, even those nasty ransomware attacks. Imagine your whole website held hostage.
Yikes. Okay, you've scared me straight.
Yeah.
What are the essentials we need to have in place?
Well, a good place to start is choosing a reputable web hosting provider. Platforms like Squarespace and Shopify are great because they have a lot of security features built in.
So less for me to worry about.
Exactly. But if you're using WordPress, especially if it's self-hosted,
WordPress, the platform of endless possibilities and endless security headaches.
you said it. You'll need to be more hands-on. The Macpreneur podcast really stressed the importance of those essential security plugins, things like Jetpack and WordFence.
What do those do?
They offer protection from brute force attacks, malware scanning, even something called a web application firewall.
A firewall for my website. Is that like a digital bouncer keeping the bad guys out?
Pretty much, it filters out that malicious traffic.
Okay, so even with a super strong password for my WordPress admin, it's not enough.
You need layers of protection, right? The Macpreneur podcast also talked about CDNs, content delivery networks.
Now, those sound familiar, but refresh my memory.
They not only make your website faster, but they also cache content and can even filter out some of those malicious requests. Another layer of security.
Like having a high-speed bodyguard for my website. Got it. What about backups? Those are crucial for our computers, but what about our websites?
Just as vital. Backing up your entire WordPress site regularly is key. We're talking database, themes, plugins, the whole shebang.
Sounds like a job for automation.
Absolutely. Plugins like Updraft Plus or VaultPress can handle that for you.
Music to my ears. Backups are like that digital security blanket, aren't they?
For sure. They give you peace of mind.
Speaking of peace of mind, we've covered a ton of ground here. From updating our software to fortifying our websites, it's a lot to think about. So much to think about. But we're solopreneurs, right? We thrive on juggling multiple things at once.
That's the spirit. And speaking of juggling, there's one more aspect of Mac security that often gets overlooked. Something the Macpreneur podcast dedicated an entire episode to. What to do with our devices when it's time to upgrade.
Oh, you mean those old laptops and phones we have stashed away in drawers?
Exactly. They may seem harmless gathering dust, but those devices, they often hold a treasure trove of data. And just deleting files or even reformatting the hard drive, it doesn't always guarantee that everything is truly gone.
Wait, really? So even after I hit delete a bunch of times and empty the trash, someone could still potentially access my old files?
It's possible, especially with older devices. That's why the Macpreneur podcast actually walks listeners through a detailed process of completely wiping their devices, making sure all that personal data, business data, everything is truly erased.
Okay, so no need to take a hammer to my old hard drive just yet. But definitely a good idea to give those devices a proper wipe before selling them or donating them.
Absolutely. Better safe than sorry, right? And that brings us back to a key theme we've been talking about. Security isn't just about protecting data. It's about protecting your business, your clients, and ultimately your peace of mind.
I love how the Macpreneur podcast put it. They called it delayed productivity.
Right. It's an investment in your future self. Think about it. Spending a little time today setting up a solid backup system or creating a super strong password, that's a whole lot better than dealing with the fallout of a security breach down the road, wouldn't you say?
1,000,000 times better. And honestly, that's a really empowering way to think about it. It's not about living in fear of getting hacked, but about taking control, being proactive.
Exactly. And remember, security doesn't have to be overwhelming. It's all about taking those small, consistent steps.
Small steps, big impact. I like it. Well, on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive into Mac security. We've covered a ton of ground today, but hopefully you're walking away feeling empowered, informed, and maybe even a little bit excited about leveling up your security game.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure sharing these insights with you.
I'm back. That was incredible, wasn't it? The way that they talked about some concepts like passkeys by making them very approachable is spooky. Now, it's not always that good out of the gate, and in other cases, I ended up deleting the first audio overview and created another one which was better. For this specific audio overview, it was generated before Google introduced the ability to interrupt the AI personas and ask them questions during their deep dive conversation. I haven't tested this feature yet, so if you have, I'd love to know what your experience has been. In fact, I'm also curious to know what you think about this episode format. So I'd be super grateful if you could fill the feedback form available at macpreneur.com/contact. It would mean the world to me. Once again, it's macpreneur.com/contact. And in the next episode, the AI audio overview will revisit season 4 of the podcast dedicated to process efficiency. So make sure to subscribe or follow this podcast to get it automatically next week. And until next time, I'm Damien Schreurs, wishing you a great day.
Thank you for watching the Macpreneur podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, please leave a comment and share it with a friend right now.